Have you ever decided you're going to make a huge change in your life, only to find yourself right back where you started a few weeks later? Yep, we've all been there. Today, we're going to dig into the book Mini Habits by Stephen Gies, because it has this totally counterintuitive strategy for making changes that actually finally stick.
I mean, it's the million-dollar question, right? We get these ambitious goals in our heads. We're going to run a marathon, write a novel, finally learn Spanish. We start off with this massive burst of energy. And then, life happens. And poof, the habit is gone.
All the advice out there tells us to just get hyped up, find your motivation, go big or go home. But what if that advice is the very thing that's setting us up to fail? What if the problem isn't us, but the strategy itself?
Okay, so first things first, we need to talk about why the most popular strategy for making a change, just trying to get motivated, is actually a total trap.
Just think about it for a second. Motivation. It's a feeling, right? It's an emotion. It comes and goes with your mood, how much sleep you got, what you ate for lunch. It is completely, totally unreliable. Willpower, though, that's different. Willpower is more like a muscle. It's a real but limited resource that gets tired out. But here's the cool part. You can actually strengthen it over time.
Now check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how these two work together. When your motivation is at rock bottom, the amount of willpower you need to force yourself to do something, it's huge. It's like trying to push a car uphill by yourself in the rain. But when you're super motivated, the willpower cost is practically zero. So if you're always waiting for motivation, you're pretty much always choosing to fight that uphill battle.
So if motivation is a trap, how do you get out of it? Well, for the author Stephen Gies, the answer came when he was feeling completely defeated, and it led to something he now calls the One Push-Up Challenge.
So picture this. It's December 28th, 2012, and Giz decides, okay, new year, new me. I'm going to start with a 30-minute workout. Seems like a pretty normal goal, doesn't it?
But he just couldn't bring himself to do it. He was feeling tired, out of shape, and that 30-minute workout, it didn't just feel difficult, it felt absolutely impossible. He said it was like standing at the bottom of Mount Everest and looking up. And the sheer size of that goal was so intimidating that he did what we all do. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And right there, in that moment of doing nothing, this kind of ridiculous thought popped into his head. What if, instead of this giant Mountain Everest-sized goal, what if he just did something absurdly small? What if he just did one push-up?
So he did it. He got on the floor and did one single push-up. And hey, since he was already down there, he figured, why not do a few more? That one tiny, completely non-threatening start was all it took to break the inertia. Then he decided, what about one pull-up? And that turned into a few more. And before he even knew what was happening, he had done a full 20-minute workout.
That one experience basically unlocked a powerful secret about how our brains work. So let's break down exactly why this stupid small approach is so powerful.
So a mini habit is basically a tiny, bite-sized version of a bigger habit you want to create. We're talking one push-up a day instead of a full gym session, or writing just 50 words instead of a whole chapter. The requirement has to be so small that it feels almost laughable. And believe it or not, that's the whole point.
In fact, let's try it right now. Just touch your nose. Go on, do it. It's easy, right? Took zero motivation.
See, you are able to do it instantly because the mental resistance to that action was basically zero. It required the tiniest little speck of willpower. Well, mini habits work on that exact same principle. They are literally too small for your brain to bother resisting.
And if you look at the science, this makes perfect sense. Research shows that these are the 5 biggest things that drain our willpower. How much effort something takes, how difficult we think it's going to be, negative feelings, just being tired, and even having low blood sugar. A mini habit is like a cheat code that bypasses almost all of these. It takes no effort, it doesn't seem hard, and it's over so fast you don't have time to feel bad or get tired. It's a total willpower hack.
Now, to really understand why this is such a brilliant long-term strategy, we need to get a little geeky and look at how our brain actually forms habits.
The book has this great analogy. Think of your brain as having 2 parts. You've got the smart manager, which is your prefrontal cortex. This is the part that gets it. It understands long-term goals, like, I should exercise to be healthy. It's brilliant, but it's also kind of weak and it gets tired out really easily. This is where your willpower lives. Then you've got the stupid repeater, your basal ganglia. This part is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't think at all. It just recognizes patterns and puts them on autopilot.
So the whole game of building habits is just this. You have to use the weak but smart part of your brain to teach a new trick to the strong but stupid part. And what's the only language the stupid repeater understands? Repetition. By doing a tiny action over and over and over, you're programming a new automatic behavior into the strongest part of your brain, all without ever exhausting that tiny willpower muscle.
All right, I know this all sounds good in theory, but how do you actually put it into practice? Let's walk through the super simple steps to build your very first mini habit, like right now.
It's just 3 steps. First, pick a habit you want. Easy enough. Second, shrink it way, way down until it feels ridiculous. Not just small, stupid small. And third, and this part is absolutely crucial, your only job is to meet that tiny goal every single day. No excuses. Anything you do beyond that, what he calls bonus reps, that's just extra credit. The real win is hitting that tiny target, day in and day out.
And here is the real psychological genius of this whole system. You're building a chain of success every single day. Because the goal is literally too small to fail, you completely eliminate that feeling of guilt and frustration that always seems to derail our progress. You are actively replacing a cycle of failure with a spiral of success.
So, as we wrap this up, there's really only one question left to ask yourself. What is one tiny, almost laughably small action that you can commit to doing starting today that might just begin to change everything?